Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ifeoluwa. In this video I'm going to take you through the process of how I made this dress. So it has a little bit of ball gown effect to it so that the gathered part won't be too relaxed. So this is a gathered dress with Queen Anne's neckline, and it also has pockets too. So if this is something you're interested in learning how to make, stick around and watch this video to the end. And thank you to all those who have subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate you guys. If you're also seeing this and you haven't subscribed yet, please do want to subscribe, give my video a thumbs up so it can be visible to more people, and also feel free to leave your questions and your comments in the comment section. Thank you very much guys. Now let's get started. So these are the important materials needed for this dress. So I have my zip and my thread. Then this is my crepe fabric. I have about 4 yards here, and then I have my doll face of about 3 yards, and then this is the net, that is hard net I'll be using for the ball effects. So these are the measurements needed for this dress. I have the bust measurements, the waist, then the length of this dress from the shoulder to the front waistline, that is this 16 inches, and then from the shoulder to the back waistline is the 15 inches. So this varies for a lot of people. Just make sure you have an accurate measurement for yours. Then from the waistline to the length of the dress, I have 41 inches. So I have the bust point, the sleeve length, the sleeve width, the across back measurements, and then the armhole circumference. So the first thing I did was to measure out the gathered part. So I have 41 inches for the length, that is from the waist to the length of the dress. Now the full length of this crepe fabric is by 60, so I removed the 41 inches, and then the rest I'll be using it for the upper part of the dress and for the sleeves. So don't forget to also add your sewing allowance for the M-line. So for this one I added 1 inch for the sewing allowance for the M-line, and then for the upper part I added 0.5 for the sewing allowance too. Then I'm using the whole 4 yards for the gather, so that it's going to be very full. So I have 4 yards. Then I divided this into 2. I cut out into 2, so I have one for the front and then I have one for the back. Now the only reason why I divided this into 2 is because I'll be adding pockets. So for the back part you're still going to divide it into 2 because of the zip. Now moving on to the cutting of the front part, that is the upper part, the top part. So this is the front I'm cutting out now. I've folded my fabric into 2, then I'm going to create a margin here. So from this margin here I'm going to be taking out the measurements. So from this margin here, I'm going to measure out the chest line. I used the armhole circumference divided by 2. So I have 16 divided by 2, which is 8 inches. Then I measured out the bust point, and then I measured out the front waistline measurement. So the front waistline measurement, which is 16 inches. So you make sure that you take your accurate measurements for this part. So the reason for taking the front and the back waistline separately is to avoid zip bulge. So you know that because of the bust sitting at the front, there is a chance that the front waistline is going to be longer than the back waistline. So you just make sure you take an accurate measurement. So I'm just going to join all this together. Now I'll go ahead to create the armhole. So my across back measurement, that is the shoulder to shoulder measurement divided by 2, I have 7.5 inches. Then I'll just connect that together. So from the shoulder line here, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and then whatever I have left I'll divide by 2 and mark that point. Now from that point I'm going to come in by 0.75. On the chest line I'm going to divide my bust measurement by 4. So I have 8.5 for this. Now I'm going to connect those 3 points together to create the armhole. If you are still watching this and you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, let it be visible to many more people, and also you can leave your comments in the comment section. Thank you very much guys. Now I already have my bust measurement. I'm going to fix in my waist measurement too. So my waist measurement divided by 4, I'm going to put that there. I'm going to connect from the chest line down to the waistline. So I decided to also put the bust measurement on the bust point, so that way it's not going to be tight around that part. Now we're going to introduce the side dart here. So I have my front waistline as 16 inches and the back waistline as 15 inches. So the difference there is 1 inch. So that 1 inch is what we are going to be using for the side dart, so that by the time you join the sides of the front and the back, they will be equal. So I'm going to take the 1 inch here from the bust point, and then on this part here I'm going to measure out the bust span. So that is the nipple to nipple measurement, which is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches. So I'm going to measure that there on the bust point, and then I'll connect it into the 1 inch that we came down by there for the side dart. So this is what I have for the side dart. Then I'm going to fix in my side seam. So I used 1.5 inches for the side seam. So later on I'm also going to fix in the seam allowance for the armhole and the neckline. Now let's move on to the neckline. Now for the neck width I'm using 3.5 inches, and then for the neck depth I'm using 5 inches because I don't want this to be too exposed. So I'm going to connect this together to create my shoulder slant, and then I'm going to draw a straight line here. So you make sure it is a little bit slanted because of we are using a queen ant neckline, so it is a little bit slanted this way. And then I'm also going to measure out the 5 inches I used for the neck depth here and connect a straight line here to meet this other one. Now in order for this part to have like a V shape there, I'm going to come up by 1 inch here, and then I'm going to connect with a V shape to meet this 5 inches neck width. So this is the queen ant neckline. So guys, I'm going to go ahead to cut out what I have. I'm going to add 0.5 inch for the seam allowance of the neckline round like this, and then for the shoulder slant I'll also add 0.5, and also for the armhole I'll add 0.5. Then for the side seam I already have my 1.5, and then for the waistline area I'm also going to add 0.5. So this is how the neckline looks like after cutting. You can open yours up too. If you're not satisfied with it, or if you want it to have a different shape, you can go ahead to fix it up again to have a different shape. Or if you want it deeper than this, you can go ahead to fix it up. But this is just perfect for this dress. Now I folded it back, and then I notched out the sides, the dart legs for the side darts. So I notched them out so that by the time I want to sew, I'm going to know where to start from. I'm going to know the points to start from. Now after notching, I decided to use my needle and thread to demarcate where I'm going to be sewing the darts. So you can either do this or use your chalk or a pin to demarcate where the dart point is going to stop. So now that I have this, if I want to sew, I'm just going to fold this. I'm going to look for the notched part there, fold it that way, and then I'll sew into this thread that I have there. So it is very easy that way. Now let's move on to the back part of the top. So I folded into 2 also, and then I'm measuring here to see if it's going to be enough, because I'm also going to be fixing zip allowance there. Now I'm going to measure out my zip allowance here. I'm using 1 inch, so I'm going to measure that out and connect with a straight line. And then I'm also going to draw out a margin like I did for the front, and then from that margin I'll be taking my measurements. So I'm going to take my chest line measurement, which is 8 inches, and then I'm going to take the back waistline measurement, which is 15 inches. So 15 inches is different from the front waistline measurement, which is 16 inches. So don't forget about that. Now I'm going to create the armhole. So starting from this line here, I'll be measuring out my across back measurement divided by 2, which is 7.5 inches, and then I'm going to connect that. So from that line, which is the shoulder line, I'll come down by 1 inch, and whatever I have left I'm going to divide by 2 and mark. Then from that point I'll come in by 0.5. Now on the chest line, starting from that line there, starting from that point there, I'm going to take the bust measurement divided by 4. So I have 8.5 inches there, and I'm going to connect the armhole with my armhole curve. Now for the neckline, I'm using the same neck width I used for the front, so I have 3.5 inches, and then for the neck depth I'm going to be using 1 inch. So the neck for the back is going to be higher than the one for the front, so I'm going to connect that with a curve, and then I'm going to draw my shoulder slant. Now for the back waistline, I'm going to come in by 1 inch here. So starting from this point here, I'll come in by 1 inch. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to prevent any form of zip bulge at the back. So I'll come in by 1 inch there, then I'll connect it back into the chest line. So this means this is going to be the new zip allowance, and then this part is no longer needed. Now it is from these new points that I have for my zip allowance, that is where I'll be taking the waistline measurements divided by 4. So before connecting that, I'm going to fix in my seam allowance. So I'm also using 1.5 for the side seam here, and I'm going to connect them together. So I'm going to go ahead to cut out what I have. I'm adding 0.5 inch here for the allowance, and then I already have my side seam allowance. For the armhole, I'm also going to add 0.5, the shoulder slant, and then the neckline. Then for this zip part here, I'm going to open up this side. I'm going to open up this part, and then I'll cut out what I have here. So guys, this is it for the back. Now here I'm just trying to show you how the sides of the front and the back looks like. So this is what it looks like without fixing the darts here. It's without fixing the side dart for the front. You see how it looks like. So that 1 inch is still underneath there. So you make sure that you just have an accurate measurement for yourself. It can be the same for some people, and it can be more than this for some people. So when I take the side dart that way, you see that the sides will now come out equal. So here I went ahead to cut out the pockets I'll be using. So this is optional. If you want, you can cut out your pocket. If you want, you can just leave it. So here I also cut out the lining for the front and the back. So I used the doll face for the lining. Now these are my sleeves. I'm using a short sleeve. This is what I have. And then for the bow, this is what I'll be using for the bow. So this is how it's going to look like. So you can decide to fix the bow anywhere, but I preferred it at the middle. Now I'm going to go on to sew this together. Now the first thing I'm going to be sewing is the side dart of the front part. So this is what I have. I'm going to fold it. Remember that we notched that part. I'm going to fold it this way, and then I'll sew to meet the thread that I have there. Whatever I'm doing for the fabric, for the main fabric, I'll also do the same thing for the lining. So guys, this is what I have after sewing the side dart, and you can see that it is already neatly pressed. Now what I'm going to do next is to join the shoulders of the front and the back together. So you make sure you do the same thing for the lining too. So it is after joining the shoulders together, that is when I'm going to sew the neckline. So I'll be using the lining to turn over the neckline of the main fabric. So this is what I have after joining the shoulders and also using my lining to turn over the neckline. So you also make sure that it is neatly pressed so that it's going to come out looking as clean and neat as this one here. Now the next thing to do now is to create the gathers and then join it to the front part. So this is what I have. If you have a machine that can create gathers, you go ahead to use that, but if you do not, you can just use you can just sew like a straight line stitch, and then you make it very loose, and then you start pulling from the straight line with the straight line stitch, or you can just create the gathers on it. So it just depends on what you can do on and what your machine can do. So for these gathers now, I'm going to be fixing it on the main fabric alone, not the fabric and the lining. So it is going to be separate. I'm going to be fixing on only the main fabric. So later on, I'll go ahead to fixing the lining on the lining part, but for now it is just only the main fabric because we are trying to come out with a neatly finished dress. So this is what I have after joining the gathers together. You can see the front part, and then you can also see the back part. Now it is time to join the sides together. So I'm going to join the side seams together. If you want to fix in your pocket, now is the chance to fix in the pocket. So I'm going to join that together, and it is also going to be the fabric separate and the lining separate. So I'll join the side seam of the fabric separately and the side seam of the lining separately. Then after joining the side seams, I went ahead to also fix in the M line. I went ahead to tape in the M line. So guys, this is what I have after joining, and then this is the M line too that I already taped. You can see how beautiful it is looking, but it is not yet puffy enough. So this is where we are going to introduce the ball effect to it. So you can see that the lining part too is already joined together. The side seams are already joined together for the front and the back. Now I'm going to go ahead to cut out the lining for the lower part too. So that is where I'll be fixing the ad nets. So I'm going to be using a 180-degree flare for the ball parts. That is for the lining of the dress. So I have 180-degree flare here. So you make sure you fold it in a way that it is enough for the length you're going to be using and for the radius of the waistline. That is the waistline you're going to be using. So I have this already folded in the accurate part that I want. So I'm using 39 inches for the length of this lining, because I already have the length of the main fabric as 41 inches. So I don't want the lining to interfere with the main fabric. So I use 39 inches for this, and then here I'm just measuring out the waistline measurement that I have. So just go ahead to use a 180-degree flare. You can use the formula. If you don't know the formula, you can go through one of my videos. I have a detailed tutorial on how to cut a 180-degree flare. Now this is my ad net. I already folded everything up so that it will be easy for me to cut. So I'm using 8 inches for the length of the ad net. So I'm going to measure out the 8 inches till I get to the end of this net. So you make sure that your net is not wasted. You can see this one here, that is the end of it. As I opened it up, it is also 8 inches, so it is on fold, so it is also 8 inches. I didn't want to waste any of the nets. Now on the lining that we've cut out, I'm going to start measuring out the parts that I'm going to be fixing the net. So starting from that part there, I'm going to measure 1.5 inches down from the waistline, so that it's not meant to start exactly from the waistline. So I'm measuring out 1.5 inches there. So I'm going to do that round. So after doing that, I'm going to pleat the net on it. So I'm going to do this first one so that I can show you how it's going to look like. So you just go ahead to pleat the net on it this way. Now let me mention that while you are fixing this net, you make sure you are fixing it on the wrong side of the fabric, not on the right side. So guys, this is what I have after fixing the first layer for the net. So you can see how it looks like. Then I'm going to start measuring out for the other layers. So starting from this point here, I'm going to measure out 6 inches. So I used a 6 inches gap for it. So I'm going to measure that 6 inches round. So this is where I'm going to stop the measurement of the 6 inches. Now you make sure that the net is not also longer than the lining. So guys, this is what I have after connecting all those points that I measured out, after connecting them together. So I'm going to go ahead now to fix the net on all of these points. So this is what I have after fixing. Then I'm not yet done fixing. I just decided to come show you how it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead to still fix on this other part, and then as you are fixing, you can also be checking on your fabric to see whether it is enough. Now after I had completed everything, I went ahead to fix the lining on the front part, that is on the upper part. So this is how I'm going to be fixing it. You make sure that the right sides are facing each other. So what I'm going to do now is to pin them together. So the right sides facing each other, I'm going to pin the waistline there. Now if you have any extra there, what you're just going to do is to pleat. So you pleat into the waistline. So guys, this is what I have after sewing. You can see how neat it looks like. So this is the inner part of this dress, so it's looking very neat. So that is why I was sewing the main fabric separately and then the lining separately. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to fix the sleeves, and then I'm going to fix in my zip. So guys, this is what I have after fixing the sleeves and also after fixing the zip. So you can see how neat it looks like. So this is also the inner part of this zip. Let me know if you're interested in learning how I made it this way. So you can see that we have no fabric sticking out. Everything is very neat. So guys, this is it for this dress. Let me know if you learned something, and let me know if you're also going to be trying this out. Don't also forget to subscribe to my channel and also give this video a thumbs up. Thank you very much for watching guys. I'm going to see you in my next tutorial. Bye.